Everybody, welcome back to another video. It's your host, Rising Oblivion. Today, guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about the current state of Twitter and the Meg 10 community, specifically Persona and, Shin Megami Tensei fans. So as you guys might have known, if not, here you go. A lot of the big, like mega critics out there, these big companies that do these, so-called journalism things, stuff like that, have gone ahead and gave their thoughts on SMT 5. Some of them playing the game already, so they already know a decent bit about the game and everything. But there's one big thing that a lot of people have been currently upset about, and that is the fact that so many of these companies are comparing it to Persona 5. So I know, immediately, people want to go crazy about this, and I don't totally blame you. I mean, it is kind of strange. Like, yes, it is from the same developer, different studios within the same developer, though. I mean, they have the main studio for SMT games, and they made P Studios for a reason, to make the Persona game. So technically, even though it is under Atlus, it is technically a separate sort of studio within Atlus. So it wasn't entirely created by the exact same people, but the fact that it does have Atlus's stamp on there, people want to compare them. But here's the thing that we need to think about here, and about these big journalist companies that talk about these games. First off, they're paid to do so. So what is the best thing that you can do in order to gain some clicks or attention? And that is, do the thing that makes people upset. Gamers totally get upset about their favorite games, and the fact that they're bringing up Persona is something that really shouldn't be comparing to SMT. Like, yes, it does have a lot of the same demons, or personas, and Persona has a lot of the same demons, shares some similar aspects with the turn-based combat, even though SMT uses, a completely different sort of system. Still, it is a turn-based, JRPG or whatever. They want to compare those types of things. I think some comparison, because it's under Atlus, does make sense. Is the quality of the game good? Is the music good? Certain things like that. How does the game look? That, I think, kind of makes sense to compare. But when they're going down talking about story, like social links, things like this, SMT isn't like that. A lot of people on Twitter are talking about how you should be comparing SMT 5 to things like Apocalypse and SMT 4 and SMT 3. That totally makes sense. A lot of times when I've been talking about my SMT 5 videos, I bring up SMT 3 because that's the last, real big, huge one, and not to mention we've also had the remaster come out recently, and we can sort of see how Atlus treats those sorts of things with past SMT games, with how this game is going to be. Is there progress being made within the SMT franchise? Persona goes on and does its own thing. It has the social links. It's a little more of a visual novel. It's not necessarily, fully put on to just, battling the demonic, lore that you sort of have to figure out for yourself. A lot of the story is explained to you with Persona, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with liking both of these games. There's always a huge rift with SMT fans and Persona fans. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you should be able to like both. Do both of them need to be compared? I think certain levels can be, but other levels it makes absolutely no sense to be comparing them to. And a lot of times, and these bigger companies, like I said, they're just there for clicks. What's a good hot buzzword right now? Persona 5, obviously. That's why Persona 5 was trending, because with every single review out there talking about SMT 5, they're including Persona 5 within that as well, because not only is it a good way to get clicks, but it might be the only thing they even know about. How many people out there actually played the DS games, Apocalypse, SMT 4, even the other spin-offs, Digital Devil Survivor, all of these other games? I don't think a lot of them probably have done so. If anything, they might have played the SMT 3 remaster. And by no means should you even take anything they say with, true-heartedness. You should take everything that they say with a grain of salt. I'm the kind of person who does not believe that you should do something based off of what another person says. Sometimes it's really good, like a doctor, for instance. You better believe if a doctor tells you you're sick, you should go and do what they say. But when it comes down to people just playing games, if you're a person who's played a lot of games as well, I think your opinion is just as valid, as a big, you know, company, because more than likely just a couple of people actually made the review. So why couldn't your view of the game be different than theirs? Their view should not be higher than yours. My view of the game should not be higher than your, you know, opinion or value of the game either. I, for instance, did not like Persona 5 Strikers, but tons of people like that more, and I totally understand. A lot of people don't like the turn-based combat they see in some of the mainline Persona or SMT games. I totally understand that and totally get what you mean by that, but I'm not going to be a person to say I like SMT, you know, whatever, if it's a bad game. I'm not going to like Persona 5 Strikers just because everybody else did. You know, you should take what you like from the game yourself personally. So, whenever SMT 3 came around, I knew a lot of people were saying the soundtrack was bad, the game was old, it felt clunky, the remaster wasn't too good, just play the old version of the game. And I was a person who had only played Persona 4, a little bit of Persona 3, and of course beat Persona 5 a couple of times. So jumping into SMT 3, I thought to myself, you know what? Clean slate. I'm not going to put any, you know, filters or any biases on this game when I play it. So when I went and played SMT3, I had a very fun time because I took it as its own experience. Even games that have mainline titles, like from Persona 4 to Persona 5, I didn't go into Persona 4 comparing it 100% to Persona 5. There are certain things, without a doubt, that you cannot end up trying to compare, you know what I mean? But when it came to Persona 4, I gave it its own chance. I gave it its own light, its own, you know, sort of thing to deal with, you know? I didn't compare it full-heartedly next to Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal. So when it comes to SMT 5, all these companies that are comparing it to Persona, man, I know a lot of people are upset, but when it comes down to it, really, I don't think their opinion was very valid to start with. It's just their opinion. Everybody's opinion is going to be different on this game. It really shouldn't matter whether or not they compare it to Persona or not. It is fun to look at them and compare them, but these big companies, like I said, they get paid for clicks. They don't necessarily get paid because of their opinion being more valid or not. Yes, they want to go for validation because that means that they can be a reputable source, but when they're down bad, they're going to shill out anything they possibly can and or get paid to say what they want to. I mean, just think about how the news does this type of stuff. It's not real journalism. Like documentaries, things like that, where it takes a long time, a long process, it's not promoted super well. That's true journalism. So people that are like the YouTubers here that really aren't doing this for money, they're sort of doing this because they genuinely enjoy the game, those are the people I would try and take any criticisms from the game from. But these big companies, you know, IGN and whatnot, not saying that they're necessarily bad sources, or maybe they do have a good opinion on the game. Some are, you know, being very highly about SMT5, but like I said, you should take their experience and their, you know, ranking or whatever view they see of the game, whether it's comparing it to Persona 5 or other JRPGs or whatever, you should still take that with a grain of salt and really check out the game for yourself. Check it out on face value. Don't judge a book by its cover. That's sort of how I feel about this whole situation. Whether or not it was freaking, you know, the CEO of IGN telling me this game is great, I would still be like, I will figure that out for myself. I will figure out for myself if a game is good or not. You should not let somebody dictate whether or not a game is good for you. Could you get viable information from them? Absolutely. You know, you should definitely try and do that. But I think the Atlus fans, Meg 10 fans, Persona fans, SMT fans are smart enough to understand there is a distinct difference within SMT 5 and Persona 5. So when it comes down to it, these companies doing this sort of thing, I just ignore it. I don't know exactly necessarily what the point of this video is. It's a little bit of a rant just talking about this, but in reality, guys, you can like both games. You don't have to compare both games. There's no need to do that. There's no need to, you know, have a dumpster fire everywhere you go comparing these two things together. I absolutely understand everybody's opinion, and I think there's some, you know, validation to everybody's opinion, of course, but don't let that control you. Don't let that take away your fun of any experience that you're going to have with any games. That's sort of how I feel about this. But sorry if this was a little bit ranty. I just want to get my opinion out there and address sort of the critics and things going around with SMT5. look it up yourself, look up gameplay. If you're not sure if you want to get the game yet, there's going to be a lot of people streaming it. I know for sure that I'm going to be streaming it, giving a review for it as well. Like I said, reviews from YouTubers, people that really aren't getting a whole lot out of reviewing it, they're going to be a little more, you know, non-biased, a little more truthful about these types of things. Look through multiple sources, multiple YouTubers. I think that's the real place that you can go to get information. These big companies, not so much. I don't think that's going to be a great place. But like, comment, subscribe for more content. I will see you in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching.